Now, the moon is 60 times as far away from the Earth's center than we are. We're 4,000 miles away from the center, and the moon is 240,000 miles away from the center. So if the law of inverse square is right, an object at the Earth's surface should fall in 1 second by 1/20th of an inch times 3,600, being the square of 60, because the force has been weakened by 60 times 60 for the inverse square law in getting out there to the moon. And if you multiply a 20th of an inch by 3,600, you get about 16 feet. And lo, it is known already that things fell in 1 second on the Earth's surface by 16 feet. So this meant, you see, that he was on the right track. There was no going back now.
There was no going back.
Because a new fact that was completely independent previously, which is the period of the moon's orbit and its distance from the Earth, was connected to another fact, which is how long it takes something to fall in 1 second. He had a lot of other predictions. In addition, a number of new phenomena had obvious explanations. One was the tide. The tides were due to the pull of the moon on the Earth. And that's two tides a day. But there was also the force of the moon on the Earth and on the water. It's the same at the same distance. But you must a lot of other things became quite clear. Why the Earth is round, because everything gets pulled in. And why it isn't round, because it's spinning so that the outside gets thrown out a little bit and it balances to it. And why the sun and moon are round to it. Yeah, do it. Now, as the science developed, science and measurements were made ever more accurately, the tests of Newton's law became much more stringent. And the first careful tests involved the moons of Jupiter by careful observations of the way they went around. Newton. Turned out not to be the case. The moons of Jupiter appeared to be first 8 minutes ahead of time and sometimes 8 minutes behind the entire schedule. It was noticed that they were ahead of schedule when they were close, when Jupiter was close to the Earth, and behind schedule when it was far away. Rather odd circumstance. And Mr. Römer, having confidence in the law of gravitation, came to an interesting conclusion, that it takes light some time to travel from the moons to the Earth. And that what we're looking at when we see the moons is not how they are now, but how they were the time ago that it took the light to get here. Now, when Jupiter's near us,
it takes less time for the light to come.
And when Jupiter's further, it takes longer. So he had to correct the observations for the differences in time. And by the fact that they were this much too early or that much too late, was able to determine the velocity of light. This was the first demonstration that light was not an instantaneously propagating material. I bring this particular matter to your attention because it illustrates something. That when a law is right, it can be used to find another one. By having confidence in this law, if something is the matter, it suggests perhaps some other phenomenon. This process has developed into an avalanche of discoveries. Each new discovery permits the tools for much more discovery, and this is the beginning of that avalanche, which has gone on now for 400 years in a continuous process, and we're still avalanching along at high speed.